brought your son's girlfriend, Miss Perry, to court. You state that after taking Miss Perry in, when she had nowhere else to go, being with your son, he fathered her child.
Yes.
Plaintiff is judgmental and hates that her son is in a loving relationship with you. Past, you say you are hoping the results of today's test put an end to her meddling. Miss Francois McCreary, how did you come to meet Miss Perry?
And I knew I could help because, you know, being a God-saved Christian, I wanted to help her. A house, yes, hallelujah, thank you. Free, no food, don't have to worry about anything. Just come make yourself at home for what she needed to do. She just needed the help. I seen my past in her, you know, and she betrayed me. You know, and it hurt my heart. It hurt my heart, but you know the truth because I befriended her. And she stabbed me in my back.
So you think she stabbed you in the back by sleeping with your son?
Oh, she did.
So
when they walked into the courtroom, the air already felt heavy, like something deeply personal was about to be torn open in front of strangers. Miss Francois McCreary was the one who brought the case forward. She didn't come for herself alone. She came carrying the weight of being a mother, a protector, and someone who felt betrayed inside her own home. Sitting beside her was Veronica Perry, the young woman she once tried to help, now the mother of a child whose paternity had become the center of this painful dispute. Francois explained that she met Veronica at a church picnic. Veronica was struggling, had nowhere stable to stay, and Francois believed God had placed her in her path for a reason. With a full heart and strong faith, she opened her home to her. No rent, no food worries, no pressure, just shelter and support so Veronica could get back on her feet. Francois spoke with pride about being a woman of faith and how helping others was part of her calling. But as she spoke, that pride cracked into visible hurt. She said the kindness she offered was repaid in a way she never imagined. According to Francois, while living under her roof, Veronica crossed a line that felt unforgivable. She began a sexual relationship with Francois's son. Not only that, she later claimed that her baby was his. Francois said this shattered her trust completely. To her, it felt like a double betrayal, a guest disrespecting her home and a situation that threatened her son's heart and future. She wasn't just angry, she was wounded. She said she had been stabbed in the back by someone she treated like family. Now, standing in court, she said she only wanted the truth. She wanted to know if this child really was her blood, because she had been through too much in the past to accept claims without proof. Veronica told a very different story. She admitted she accepted Francois's help and said she was grateful for it. She described Francois as a godly woman who appeared in her life when she was at her lowest. To her, the help felt spiritual, like something God sent her. But when it came to the relationship with Francois's son, Veronica insisted it did not begin secretly. She said she was already involved with him before moving into the house and believed Francois knew about it. In her mind, nothing was hidden. She claimed she was introduced openly as his girlfriend, and that Francois even expressed happiness about them as a couple. That claim immediately caused tension. Francois strongly denied ever knowing about a relationship before Veronica moved in. She said if she had known, she never would have allowed her into her home. The disagreement wasn't just about timing. It cut into deeper issues of trust, honesty, and judgment. Francois accused Veronica of lying about parts of her life, especially her past relationships with women. Veronica openly stated that she had previously been in a same-sex marriage and relationships, and that Francois's son was the first man she had ever been with. She said she told the truth about this early on, believing honesty was the right thing to do. Francois reacted strongly to that revelation. She said she found out about Veronica's past from someone else, not directly from her, and that this made her feel deceived. She went further, saying that had she known from the beginning, she would not have allowed Veronica to live in her home because she felt responsible for protecting her daughter and granddaughters. This sparked intense emotion in the courtroom. Francois insisted her concern was not hatred but trust. To her, if someone hid such a major part of their life, how could she trust them with anything else? Veronica pushed back hard against that idea. She said her life was her life, not something she was obligated to explain in detail, especially when she believed she had been honest. She also accused Francois of making her feel judged for her past rather than seeing the person she was trying to be. The conversation became less about biology and more about values, faith, fear, and misunderstanding. Both women spoke from places of deep emotion, each feeling wronged by the other. As the tension grew, Francois added another allegation that shocked the room. She claimed Veronica had once hit on her, crossing another boundary entirely. Veronica denied this, saying she always saw Francois as her boyfriend's mother and respected her as such. That accusation only deepened the sense of chaos and distrust between them. Francois said all of this combined made her question everything Veronica said, including who the father of the baby really was. Throughout all this, Francois kept returning to one point. She had been through paternity disputes before with her other sons. She said she had learned the hard way that love and hope were not enough. DNA was the only thing that could protect her family from heartbreak. She wasn't saying her son couldn't be the father. She said she needed certainty before she allowed herself to love the child as her grandbaby. To her, blood mattered, not out of cruelty, but out of fear of being hurt again. Eventually, Francois's son was brought into the courtroom. His presence shifted the energy immediately. He spoke calmly but emotionally, saying he believed the baby was his from the moment he first held him in the hospital. He said he was there during the pregnancy, emotionally invested, and ready to be a father. The reason he didn't sign the birth certificate, he explained, was because Veronica was still legally married at the time, which created legal complications. He also admitted his mother advised him not to sign anything until a DNA test was done. He said the situation hurt him deeply because he loved both his mother and Veronica. He didn't want to choose between them. He described himself as family-oriented and said seeing the two most important women in his life in conflict was painful. All he wanted was peace and for everyone to get along. He said he believed Veronica was honest with him and that she would be a good mother. He asked his mother to respect his relationship and trust his judgment. Francois listened with tears and frustration. She said her fear was not about control but protection. She didn't want her son to give his heart to a child who might not be his. She had seen that kind of pain before and it broke her to think it could happen again. Still, as she spoke, it was clear that beneath the anger was love. Love for her son, love for the idea of a grandchild, and fear of opening her heart only to have it shattered. The moment of truth finally arrived when the DNA results were read. The courtroom went quiet. When it was announced that Francois's son was indeed the biological father, everything changed. The tension that had filled the room released in a wave of emotion. Francois's face shifted from guarded skepticism to relief. She said she was happy now, not because she was proven right to doubt, but because she finally knew the truth. She said all she wanted was to know if the baby was her blood. She immediately spoke about wanting to be the grandmother that child deserved. Her voice softened. The anger faded. In its place was acceptance. She said the test freed her heart and allowed her to move forward without fear. Her son embraced her, telling her he loved her and wanted them all to be a family. In that moment, the fight that brought them to court gave way to reconciliation. This case showed how easily good intentions can turn into deep wounds when trust breaks down. What started as an act of kindness became a painful lesson about boundaries, communication, and fear. In the end, it wasn't judgment or accusations that resolved the conflict, but the truth, finally spoken clearly through science, allowing everyone involved to begin healing again. After the first matter settled and emotions barely had time to cool, The courtroom moved straight into another case that carried a different kind of pain but the same heavy question. Again, it was about a child, about doubt, and about two adults standing on opposite sides of truth, each convinced the other was wrong. A woman stood before the court explaining that she had come not out of anger but out of exhaustion. She said she was tired of carrying everything alone. This child was her miracle baby, the one she never believed she would have. At her age, after years of believing motherhood might never happen for her, this little girl changed everything. She said she loved her daughter more than anything in the world, but love did not pay bills, and it did not fill the empty space created when a father refuses to fully show up. She explained that the man she brought to court had been part of her life on and off. Their relationship was never simple. It was inconsistent, uncertain, and filled with mixed signals. Still, she said, there were moments where it felt real. Moments where he showed up, cared, and made her believe they were building something together. When she found out she was pregnant, she said she didn't hide. She told him. She told her family. She faced it head-on, even though fear sat heavy in her chest. According to her, when she told him about the pregnancy, his reaction gave her hope. He said he would be there. He talked about doctor's appointments, support, and being present. In those early moments, she believed him. She believed that even if their relationship had problems, they could still come together for the sake of the child. She said that belief is what made the later rejection hurt so deeply. She told the court that as time passed, his presence faded. He became distant, inconsistent. She said there were long stretches where she heard nothing from him, times when she felt invisible, carrying the physical and emotional weight of pregnancy alone. She said one of the moments that hurt her most was seeing him in public with his other family, walking right past her and the baby without acknowledgement. To her, that moment confirmed her worst fear, that he had already decided to emotionally detach. When he spoke, his voice carried a different kind of hurt. He didn't deny knowing her. He didn't deny being intimate with her. What he denied was certainty. He told the court that he had doubts from the beginning. He said their relationship was casual, not committed. That when he started developing stronger feelings and brought up the idea of something more serious, she disappeared emotionally and physically. To him, that raised questions about whether he was the only man in her life. He said there were times when her phone rang constantly, when she seemed secretive, when she would vanish for days. In his mind, those moments planted seeds of doubt. He admitted he had been through a paternity situation before, one that ended with devastating results after years of believing a child was his. He described how that experience broke him, how it made him afraid to give his heart again without proof. He said that when she told him she was pregnant months after they had last been intimate, his first reaction wasn't joy or anger but confusion. He said he questioned the timing. He said he questioned whether another man could be involved. According to him, there was even a conversation where she admitted to being with someone else during that period. That admission, he said, was the moment his doubts hardened into fear. The woman pushed back strongly against that claim. She said she knew exactly when she conceived. She remembered the date clearly, down to the details of that night. She said she wasn't confused. She wasn't guessing. She knew who she had been with, and she knew the child growing inside her came from him. She said being accused of lying about something so serious felt like an attack on her character and her integrity as a mother. As the discussion continued, it became clear that both were carrying past trauma into the present. He carried the pain of being falsely named a father before. She carried the pain of abandonment and the fear of raising a child alone. Both spoke from wounded places, neither fully trusting the other, yet both tied together by a child who deserved certainty. He admitted he visited the hospital after the baby was born. He said when he saw her, she was beautiful. He even admitted he saw features of himself in her face. Still, he said, Experience had taught him that appearances could be misleading. He said he did not sign the birth certificate because he needed certainty before taking on legal and emotional responsibility. To him, waiting for DNA was not cruelty, but self-protection. The woman said that was exactly what hurt the most. She said a real father doesn't hesitate, doesn't wait for paperwork to love a child. She said she felt judged, measured, and left alone during the most vulnerable time of her life. She said she wasn't asking him to blindly trust her. She was asking him to trust the bond they shared and the truth she was telling. The court carefully went through the timeline, dates, encounters, gaps. Each detail added weight to the moment that was coming. The woman admitted that she had spoken to another man around that time, but insisted the timing did not overlap. She said she had already considered every possibility before walking into that courtroom. She said she wouldn't have brought the wrong man to court because her daughter deserved the truth more than anything. The man listened quietly as she spoke about how much the child meant to her, about how she feared depriving her daughter of a father, about how she stayed instead of running because she believed this time was different. He admitted that hearing her speak made him feel conflicted. He said part of him wanted to believe her completely, but fear kept holding him back. Finally, the moment came when words were no longer enough. The DNA results were ready. The room went silent as the envelope was opened. Both of them held their breath, knowing that everything would change in the next few seconds. When the result was read and it was confirmed that he was the biological father, the tension broke instantly. The man's face shifted from guarded resistance to shock and relief. He said he wanted to apologize. He said now that the truth was clear, there would be no more doubt, no more hesitation. He said he would step up fully and take responsibility for his daughter. The woman's reaction was a mixture of validation and release. She said she wasn't there to win an argument. She was there to prove the truth. She said she always knew, and now she finally had proof that no one could take away. The tears she shed were not just from relief, but from the hope that her daughter would no longer grow up questioning whether she was wanted. The judge reminded them both that the child was innocent in all of this, that she didn't choose the confusion, the arguments, or the delays. She deserved love, stability, and honesty from both parents. The results, the judge said, were not just answers. They were responsibility. As the case closed, there was no celebration, only a quiet understanding that the real work was just beginning. Two adults had been forced to confront their fears, their pasts, and their mistakes. And in doing so, they were given a chance to move forward with clarity. Both cases, though different in detail, shared the same core truth. When doubt replaces communication and fear replaces trust, children are the ones who suffer the most. But when the truth finally comes out, it has the power not only to answer questions, but to heal wounds that words alone never could. As the courtroom prepared to close the second case, the emotions did not simply disappear. They lingered in the silence between breaths, in the way both parents avoided and then searched for each other's eyes. The DNA result had spoken clearly, but clarity does not instantly erase months or years of pain. It only opens the door to what comes next. The man sat quietly after hearing the result, the weight of the word father settling fully onto his shoulders. This time there was no doubt to hide behind, no fear to shield himself with. He admitted that his past had shaped his behavior more than he realized. Being told years before that a child was his, only to later find out it wasn't, had scarred him deeply. That experience taught him to protect himself at all costs, even if that meant keeping emotional distance. But now, he said, he understood that protecting himself had also meant hurting someone else, especially a child who never asked to be born into uncertainty. He spoke about seeing his daughter again, this time without hesitation or suspicion clouding his heart. He said he wanted to build a bond with her, not just show up when convenient, but be present in the everyday moments that define fatherhood. He acknowledged that trust had to be rebuilt, not demanded, and that responsibility didn't begin with a DNA test, but it didn't excuse him from needing one either. This was his reality now, and he said he was ready to face it fully. The mother listened, her expression guarded but softer than before. She said hearing him accept responsibility brought relief, but it didn't erase the loneliness she felt during her pregnancy or the nights she cried wondering if her daughter would ever be claimed without hesitation. She spoke about how isolating it felt to constantly defend her truth, to feel like her word as a woman and a mother was never enough. The test result validated what she had known all along, but it also reminded her how hard she had to fight just to be believed. She said her greatest fear was never about money or court. It was about her daughter growing up feeling unwanted or doubted. She wanted her child to know she was loved, that her existence was never a mistake or a question mark. She made it clear that she wasn't asking for perfection, only consistency. She wanted her daughter to see her father show up not just in words, but in actions. The judge addressed both of them with firmness and compassion. She reminded them that the courtroom was only the beginning, not the end. Legal truth had been established, but emotional truth still needed work. She emphasized that their daughter deserved a united effort, even if the parents themselves were no longer together. Respect, communication, and maturity were no longer optional. They were obligations. As the second case concluded, the contrast between the two stories became clear. In the first, a grandmother's doubt was rooted in fear of betrayal and past experiences. In the second, a father's doubt was shaped by emotional trauma and mistrust. Both cases showed how unresolved pain can bleed into present relationships, turning love into suspicion and support into conflict. Yet both also showed the same turning point. When truth replaced assumption, the atmosphere changed. The anger softened. The walls came down, not because everything was suddenly okay, but because uncertainty was no longer in control. As people slowly left the courtroom, the lingering message was undeniable. DNA tests answer biological questions, but they also force emotional reckonings. They strip away excuses and leave people face to face with responsibility. For some, that responsibility comes as relief. For others, it comes as accountability. But for the children involved, it comes as something far more important: certainty. These children would grow up knowing who they were, where they came from, and that the truth was fought for, even when it was uncomfortable. Their parents were imperfect, emotional, and flawed, but they showed up to seek answers rather than run from them. That alone mattered. In the end, the courtroom was not just a place of judgment. It became a place of reckoning, where fear met truth and had nowhere left to hide. And while no test could erase the pain that led them there, it gave everyone involved the chance to move forward honestly, carrying not doubt, but responsibility into the future. When they walked into the courtroom, the air already felt heavy, like something deeply personal was about to be torn open in front of strangers. Miss Francois McCreary was the one who brought the case forward. She didn't come for herself alone. She came carrying the weight of being a mother, a protector, and someone who felt betrayed inside her own home. Sitting beside her was Veronica Perry, the young woman she once tried to help, now the mother of a child whose paternity had become the center of this painful dispute. Francois explained that she met Veronica at a church picnic. Veronica was struggling, had nowhere stable to stay, and Francois believed God had placed her in her path for a reason. With a full heart and strong faith, she opened her home to her. No rent, no food worries, no pressure, just shelter and support so Veronica could get back on her feet. Francois spoke with pride about being a woman of faith and how helping others was part of her calling. But as she spoke, that pride cracked into visible hurt. She said the kindness she offered was repaid in a way she never imagined. According to Francois, while living under her roof, Veronica crossed a line that felt unforgivable. She began a sexual relationship with Francois's son. Not only that, she later claimed that her baby was his. Francois said this shattered her trust completely. To her, it felt like a double betrayal, a guest disrespecting her home and a situation that threatened her son's heart and future. She wasn't just angry, she was wounded. She said she had been stabbed in the back by someone she treated like family. Now, standing in court, she said she only wanted the truth. She wanted to know if this child really was her blood, because she had been through too much in the past to accept claims without proof. Veronica told a very different story. She admitted she accepted Francois's help and said she was grateful for it. She described Francois as a godly woman who appeared in her life when she was at her lowest. To her, the help felt spiritual, like something God sent her. But when it came to the relationship with Francois's son, Veronica insisted it did not begin secretly. She said she was already involved with him before moving into the house and believed Francois knew about it. In her mind, nothing was hidden. She claimed she was introduced openly as his girlfriend, and that Francois even expressed happiness about them as a couple. That claim immediately caused tension. Francois strongly denied ever knowing about a relationship before Veronica moved in. She said if she had known,